All right, we are broadcasting live. This is Armin Navobi from Atheist Republic, and we are with
Omar Assam from Egypt.
All right, Omar, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm an atheist in Egypt, and I'm here because I really care about what you guys are saying about Saudi Arabia and what Saudi Arabia is doing in the region. And since nobody even knows the details and all the shit that's going on with human rights in Yemen and Syria, I had to talk to Armin and tell all what I can and explain some basic stuff that I think is important for people to understand.
Yeah, and I've noticed that you're very well informed. You're an ex-Muslim in Egypt, and your country has been influenced a lot by Saudi Arabia's policies in the region. And I've noticed that you have a lot of information about these things. My information is mostly regarding, Iran and stuff. But
yeah, trust me, it's
so
from other Arab countries, the influence is huge. The influence is not just policy. The influence is culture. The influence is Wahhabism. The influence, and we call it the Zahf al-Wahhabi. The Wahhabi crawl or the Wahhabi invasion.
Right.
Like
so I noticed that ex-Muslims in general do have a lot of more information than average, but you have much more detailed information than a lot of people that I've talked to. So I thought you would be a good person to talk. But to get started, can you?
Yeah. A lot of ex-Muslim only care about like the cultural influences and the growth of Wahhabism, but I got involved in like geopolitical stuff to understand what the hell is Saudi Arabia doing in the first place. Like to know the objective. Like Saudi Arabia is not just this one entity that I'm against. There's Saudi Arabia foreign policy. There's Saudi Arabia Wahhabism. There's Saudi Arabia influence on terrorism. Like there's a lot of, and all of them are important. Like I can even start when we say terrorism, like Islamic terrorism, it's mainly 90% Arab Sunni terrorism for a reason, because of influence from Wahhabism from Saudi Arabia.
All right, so take us back before we get started into that. Like, take us back first. Why? Like, go back in history a little bit. Let's start with why, first of all, Saudi Arabia is important when it comes to the Islamic world. That's very basic, and then come a little bit forward a lot forward in history and say how.
To be honest,
Saudi. Okay, let's start a little bit. Why this is holy ground? Why is this holy? The two major cities for Muslims and so.
Oh, you want me to go back like 1,400 years?
Yeah.
Seriously,
Let's just cover the very basics before we go into modern times, okay? So very basic.
If we're covering the very basics, this part of the land is where Mecca and Medina, the main two cities of the Prophet Muhammad, existed, and that's why it's important. And the whole split, all the basic Sunni Shia stuff started there, and that's why the split. And I could go on and on about details about Arab tribes, all the Ottomans.
I just wanted people to know that these are the two major cities. That Mecca was where Muhammad started, Medina where he started his first government. These are the two.
The short version is Saudi Arabia has the Kaaba. That's about it. That's the main point. That's Kaaba and Hajj for all Muslims. All Muslims want to go there for Hajj every year.
All Muslims have to go there if they can. It's one of the five
pillars. They can. One of the 5 pillars of Islam.
One of the 5 pillars of Islam. It's really very convenient for tourism to have in one of the major religions. One of the major religions. One of the major religions in the world have one of its major commandments for it to be that you have to go to a city. That's a very big tourism.
So even Muslims who hate Saudi Arabia and Saudi Arabia policy give Saudi Arabia money.
Right. Yeah, they have to.
Yeah, the major two.
Even Iran, which is Saudi Arabia's main enemy, sends tourists to Saudi Arabia.
Even the most like hating militant Iranians against Saudi Arabia are always like, but we will not touch the Mecca and Medina. Mecca and Medina are fine. We only hit Riyadh and Jeddah.
Right.
Like Mecca and Medina is holy to everyone.
Right, and Mecca has a sign when you get close to Mecca that if you're a non-Muslim, you can't go in there. Like,
of course, no.
Even the traffic signs are like, if you're a non-Muslim, not a Muslim, take this route. If you're because you're getting too close to Mecca for you to be a non-Muslim and get it. Because Muhammad before he died, he said that he would never let any non-Muslims go there, right? But the problem.
According to which guy you ask?
Supposedly what?
That's why supposedly said according to which Islamic scholar you want to ask, of course. That's why I don't want to get into 1,400 years. Because which story you want to tell exactly?
All right, so that's about it in regards to why this is such an important land. So now let's go to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and how it started.
The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia started, World War I finished, Ottomans defeated, Arab tribes, thank you, Lawrence of Arabia, you did some god-awful things, but hey. And Saudi Arabia started, and they were nothing, basically. The Saudi kingdom didn't become such an influence or a major player, except when oil got discovered. Even during World War I, like, Churchill didn't know that oil would be a big deal, so even the British left the Arab tribes to Saudi Arabia. Like, they didn't even care. But once oil was discovered, suddenly, Saudi Arabia, from this Arab tribes and Al Saud family, became one of the most influential, powerful, richest countries in the world and a major player in all of geopolitics. Oil is a major thing why Saudi Arabia is important, in my opinion. And in everyone who studies geopolitics.
All right. So give us the basics, the ones that you wanted to give before I took you to a short version of why this land is holy.
Oh, yeah. When there's, I don't know where to start. But basics is Saudi Arabia has certain influences other than foreign policy, which I'll get to later, that just involves them trying to spread this thing that's specific to them called Wahhabism.
Okay, what's Wahhabism? Explain Wahhabism.
Okay, explain Wahhabism. This is like another hour. So just let's go the extremist, like an extreme literal version of everything. And if you're gonna look at the books of Wahhabism, it's so retarded. Like, you have no idea how it's worse than basic Muslim beliefs. Like, they're against innovation. They're against basic good stuff for humanity. Like, trust me, Wahhabism is hated by Muslims here. Like, Wahhabism is an extreme version when you go down to it, and sometimes it gets mixed with another set of beliefs called Salafism. Comes from the name of Salaf Salih, which are the people who were after Muhammad. So not only whatever Muhammad did, we should supposed to do, but the people after Muhammad, whatever they did, we are supposed to do as well, because these guys were said by Muhammad to enter the Jannah, enter heaven. Therefore, they must be good. Therefore, whatever they did is good. So we're gonna follow whatever they did. That's why a lot of extreme versions of Islam and jihadism comes from Wahhabism, because they use shitty things people after Muhammad did, not just shitty things Muhammad did, like Ibn Taymiyyah.
All right, but two questions. First of all, what's the difference between Salafism and Wahhabism? And second of all, isn't Islam by its very nature extreme? Isn't this extreme quote unquote extreme version of Islam?
The Quran and the Sunnah are extreme. Add to that whatever the Salaf did after Muhammad, you become even more extreme.
So okay.
No, you asked about the difference between Salafism and Wahhabism, and I can go on. There is no short version for it. I will link to the Wikipedia page. It's really complicated. You have no fucking idea how religion into a whole complicated kind of argumental science or something.
But is one based on the other?
Yes, one based on the other, but what if someone calls himself a Salafi, then he follows the Salaf, the people after Muhammad, more closely than whatever Saudi Arabia's version of Wahhabism is. Like, it's a split.
I see. Okay.
That's and I can go even more splitting if I go into a Salafiyya Jihadiyya and Salafiyya, like there's 10 different splits under each one.
Right.
That's what I'm not.
So here's a question from the live chat. They're asking, well, the oil can't last forever. What happens when
the oil is? That's why Mohammed bin Salman is starting to change things, because he knows very well his mono thinking about oil. But listen, let's not get into that. This is more complicated.
Yeah, I know. I just want to point out that what you said, actually, I want to come back to this because Mohammed bin Salman, which is the new crown prince, he has a 30-year plan, correct? That wants to make
2013, not a 30-year plan. Like his plan is leave 2013.
Oh, okay, I misunderstood.
30.
So he wants by then to
2030.
He wants by then for the economy not to be based on oil.
He wants by then the economy to not be based solely on oil, because he knows the oil is running out. If the rates, all the economists did this, if the rates keep going as it is, it will be finished by 2035 or something.
All right, so here's the question. Why is
America, everyone else is starting to depend more on itself, depend on coal, not depend on Saudi Arabia's money. And once everyone don't depend on Saudi Arabia's oil, Saudi Arabia is suddenly nothing. Like no one would care to call it on its bullshit on human rights. No one would care to stop it. No one would care to even give it weapons. That's why they're scared shitless, and they want to do what Qatar did to base their economy not on oil.
So we have to hope that this bin Salman's plan of shifting the economy doesn't work, right? So we have to shame every company or every organization that does business with them, because we have to tell those guys.
You're basing this on the idea that Mohammed bin Salman's things that he wants to do, he would be able to do anyway. So Saudi Arabia, the Al Saud family, if they want to be liberal, still Saudi Arabia wouldn't change. There is a thing called Majlis al-Ulama and the Islamic scholars of Saudi Arabia who have a major influence and a major player who are in a constant balance between them and Al Saud. These guys don't change, even if Mohammed Salman changes.
All right, so are you saying that they...
I'm saying that inside of Saudi Arabia, there's an Al Saud family.
Yeah.
And there is an Islamic scholar institution, which is huge, that everyone follows. And there is the culture of Saudi Arabia, which is all the people of Saudi Arabia follow, okay? So even if we say a guy on the top of the Al Saud family starts changing and give women rights or something, neither the Islamic scholars will change, neither Saudi society will change. They even, look at the last 20 years, Armin, they tried actually, Al Saud, even Mohammed bin Fayed, even bin Naif, even a lot of people tried to like dumb down jihadism, dumb down sexism, dumb down stuff. And they totally failed because they can't go against the Islamic scholars and the majority of the...
Why can't they go against Islamic scholars? Don't they have all the army?
Because they will be kuffar. No. The whole the balance of power in Saudi Arabia is based upon these people are willing to give us authority, and we will give authority to the Muslim scholars to control Islam. We control the country, you control Islam. We can't touch Islamic beliefs, and you can't touch army and foreign policy and shit. But don't tell us not to make deals with the infidel West, and we won't tell you that women have rights.
Okay, can I ask a question? Let's say the crown prince or the royal family decides that, okay, fuck the scholars, we're gonna go full liberal, right? I'm not saying that would ever happen, but let's say they do that. What can the scholars do?
The scholars would rile up the entirety of Saudi Arabia, turn off the government, and Saudi Arabia is now ISIS with all of the weapons and all the oil, and will start a war instantly with Iran. There is no way that would happen. Zero chance.
I know there's zero. I'm just trying to figure out what's the elements in the government, in the country, that these ulama, these scholars, they control. Like, what tools do they have in their...
The Kaaba itself. The idea of mufti, the idea of what is halal or haram, the idea of al-hay'a bil-amr bil-ma'ruf wa nahy 'anil munkar, this police, religious police institution of telling people what to do, telling women what to wear. All of these things are under the authority of the Islamic Mujamma al-Ulama, Islamic scholars in Saudi Arabia. That's actually different from Al Saud, but both of them ally together in a certain balance of power, and each wants the other. The Islamic scholar wants Al Saud in power for the money, and Al Saud wants the Islamic scholars for the people.
Okay, so let's assume everybody here is a rational player. Okay, so the Saud family, they want to stay in power, but they also want to be able to do business with the West, right? So, and these two seem to be.
The Islamic scholars will leave them to do business with the West. No problem.
Right. That's what. But as long as the Saud family makes sure that they are upholding Islamic law within their country, okay, and so the scholars let them have their relationship with the West as long as they have Islamic law within the country, right?
Within our country, we have to keep Islam as it is, Wahhabism, whatever. Don't even touch like something like, oh, women can drive or women can do this, or that's out of the fucking question. And a lot of Al Saud try to push them. Remember, Al Saud people are like the rich living in London doing stripper stuff. Just to know that these guys are basically atheists.
Right.
Like, not religious.
Yeah, they're not very religious, but they just want to stay in power. So they're listening to the scholars. But just if you understand their motivations, they seem to be quite rational in what they're doing. Like once you understand their motivation, they are being rational. They're just trying to keep everybody happy to make sure that they don't get thrown off power.
Everyone happy, and the majority of Saudi Arabia wants this shit. This is a major difference that people don't understand. People think that there's some kind of dictator above Saudi Arabia that pushes Islamic laws on women or something. The entirety, 99% of Saudi Arabians want this shit. Like the culture. That's the difference between a place like Saudi Arabia and even Iran. If Iran's top tier totally disappears suddenly, you will have a split in the country between Islam and secularism. Right? Like there is actually Iranians who would not follow this. Let's assume, Armin, a major issue in the court of Saudi Arabia, this woman got raped, and let's fuck her because she's the one that has fault because there is no 4 witnesses, okay? Let's say Saudi Arabian government was not involved at all, and even Al-Hay'a doesn't exist. Saudi Arabian men will stone and punch this woman. Like, it is a whole entire culture, not just dictator on top dictating what the people want. This is what the people are.
Right. So my next question is, like, assuming that everybody is rational player, now forget the royal family. Yeah. Why is so the people are just supporting what they support because they think that's true Islam. But the scholars, they also want to stay in power, right? Yes. What is their motivation for spreading Wahhabism?
Their motivation of spreading Wahhabism, there's 2 groups. A group actually believes Wahhabism and wants actually to spread Wahhabism all over the world, including some rich families in Saudi Arabia who spends money on Egypt, on Libya, on Syria, on stuff to spread Wahhabism for the sake of spreading Wahhabism. There is, when you look at a rational reason, what they gain from it, you will find nothing. No business transactions, no money in return. They genuinely spending the money to spread Islam and Wahhabism all over the world. So there is an actual part of the Islamic scholar.
All right, but that's the irrational part. But there's also
an irrational part. I needed to specify it existed. I need to specify there is a difference between influence from Saudi Arabia and influence from other countries, even when supporting terrorism. Some sects in Saudi Arabia actually believes this shit, and Qatar doesn't believe this shit, but they will still support Jabhat al-Nusra. There's a difference. Qatar has a business transaction. Qatar are businessmen. Saudi Arabians sometimes believe this shit.
But okay, I know sometimes.
So the other sects, they want to stay on the authority of the Islamic scholar and be the only ones who dictate what's Islam and what's not Islam. That's their motivation.
So their motivation is that the more Wahhabism is spread in the world, the more it matters, and as long as they're the authority, the more Wahhabism is spread around the world, the more they matter, and the more their authority matters.
And I don't know how to explain this exactly, but they want to be like an authority. They want Muslims all over the Arab world to listen to them.
Right.
Not to listen to your like your Muslim cleric.
This is basically what Khomeini wanted. This is basically
a competition. They really hate Khomeini.
Exactly. So basically, this is what puts the religious people in Saudi Arabia in direct conflict with Iran. Because if it wasn't for Iran, Shiism would be just another small cult.
In the East, a minority in the East, and they just ignore them. But once
like
Iran existed after the Islamic Revolution,
right.
Shit, those people in the East can have some fucking support and people to talk to now. And to get things even more complicated, Armin, even though I didn't want to, this is the hating Iran part is actually coming between all of the players I just told you about. Al Saud, the Islamic scholars, and the true believers of Sunni Islam. Like, even Al Saud would support anything that's anti-Shia, anti-Iran.
Okay, somebody just donated and commented that Jinn lives matter. So remember that Jinn lives matter. Anyway, Jinn is the
exists, dude.
Anyway, all right. So but this is very.
By the way, there's an institution for Jinn in Saudi Arabia.
What?
There is an institution for Jinn and Sihr in Saudi Arabia.
Wow.
I'm not even kidding.
Explain what Jinn is before.
Jinn is a version of incorporeal creatures which exist in our same dimension somehow that God created, that Allah created, living among us, and they have Muslims and non-Muslims. They're living.
It's
everything.
Basically like demons, right? Demons.
No, there's good Jinn. So demons are always bad. No, there is Muslim Jinn.
Yeah, I know. Actually, Muhammad said that he saw demons that were listening to the Quran. It's weird that there's institutions for
Muhammad came with his message to Jinn as well. Like, Jinn are following Muhammad and having like fights within themselves, Sunni and Shia Jinn, probably.
All right, but let's get back to the topic. So Saudi Arabia, right? They what they were trying to do, Khomeini actually did more effectively, even though it wasn't as effective as he wanted to do, because Khomeini wanted to spread his version of Islam, which is kind of Shia Islam, but Khomeinism is a new brand of Shia Islam. And his revolution, he didn't want it for it to be an Iranian revolution. He wanted for it to be an
Islamic
revolution. He was very anti-nationalistic, but Iranians are so nationalistic that he didn't manage to.
It didn't work in Iran.
It didn't work in Iran, right? But the problem with the
But to be honest, it didn't really work for any Sunni Muslims all over the world. Only Shia Muslims were like, yes, Khomeini, we're all in the Islamic revolution all over the world.
Right. The thing is, and the thing is, Khomeini stopped before he wanted to stop. He wanted all because the most oil-rich part of Saudi Arabia is Shia, right? So he thought that he could get that part with his revolution.
And he wanted to scares the shit out of Saudi Arabia.
That scares the shit out of Saudi Arabia. So they basically the number one fear of Saudis are the Shias in Saudi Arabia and the
number one enemy.
And the influence on Iran
and in Bahrain and in Yemen, not just Iran, but it's the Shia minorities within the East in Saudi Arabia, the Shias in Bahrain, the Shias in Yemen. These people suddenly became dangerous after the Iranian Islamic Revolution because suddenly they have influence and they have authority other than us. We can't put them down anymore. They keep on talking about this revolutionary shit that's coming from Iran.
That's why when the Arab Spring happened, Saudi Arabia started panicking and started.
Oh, they care about Arab Spring, no matter. But the fucking Shiites don't look at the Arab Spring. The Shiites in the East, once they started a mini protest, police state all the way, killed them in a second, and got their Nimr Sheikh and executed him. Like the main Shia guy for the people in the East, Sheikh Nimr, they got them and killed him.
Yeah.
Right away.
Right, and
don't even think about it.
Yeah, this is their number one fear. But but the thing is that Khomeini's goals are now are being fulfilled after Khomeini's death, right? When Khomeini, when the war between Iraq and Iran ended, Khomeini said, "I'll drink the poison drink and I will end this war," because he thought that he couldn't go any farther. But now, when the Iraq war happened with the United States, and then when it ended, I saw
the vacuum in Iraq and Syria influenced a lot.
Now Iran is in Iran is in Iraq. They're in Lebanon. They're in Syria. They're in Libya, and they're spreading.
The Iranian influence has spread over the last 10 years like never, like would Khomeini even imagine.
Right, and that scares the shit out of them. I mean, when I saw
that's why Saudi Arabia is more aggressive and extremely paranoid, because they see the influence of Iran on a lot of places right on their border.
You know, when I saw the posters of Khomeini and Khamenei in Baghdad, I thought, like, if Khomeini was alive today, this would have been his wet dream. Like, he could have never believed that one day they would have the posters of Khomeini right in the middle of Baghdad.
In the middle of they would have the entirety of Syria.
Yes, Syria now. Syria is, and this is what Israel is. This is the only thing that actually managed to bring Israel and Saudi Arabia together, right?
Of course. Wait. Israel and Saudi Arabia are always together.
Yeah, but I mean, but they weren't.
Okay, Armin, I didn't get into geopolitics, so let's put three important spheres of geopolitics. These spheres, these bubbles, are allies that work together. Okay? You have Muslim Brotherhood, Hamas, Qatar, Turkey. That's one block. Okay?
Wait, say it again. So it's block one.
Okay.
Muslim Brotherhood.
Muslim Brotherhood, Hamas, Qatar, Turkey.
Turkey. Okay, one block.
Yes, one block. Second block, Saudi Arabia, United States, Israel.
Right. Okay.
I can't believe I just said that. I know, but it's actually true.
Right. Okay. Third block.
Third block, Iran, Syria, Hezbollah, Shia militia, and Russia.
Right. And the scary part is that block 3 and block 1 are starting to work together against block 2.
Exactly, especially after the shit in Qatar and the blockade. If Qatar moves like, okay, fuck it, we're going to Iran's side, suddenly Turkey's on Iran's side, suddenly the Muslim Brotherhood's propaganda to the West is on Iran's side, and everything will shift, and only Israel and Saudi Arabia will be in the Middle East on the same team. Actually, it's insane to think that Israel and Saudi Arabia are the same
block
team.
Block 1 and Block 3 have always kind of worked with each other a little bit because Iran supported Hamas.
A lot of them hated each other.
A lot of them hated each other because Block 1 is Sunni and Block 3 is Shia, right? Yes. But because Block 2 is Saudi Arabia...
Even Hamas gets shit from Block 1 because they get support from Iran. Like, do you believe this? Like, we're getting support, guys. Let's get support whenever we can. No, fuck Iran.
Yeah, so
Allah gets support from Iran. We're not supposed to work with the fucking Iranians. Like, this is actually...
So Obama was starting to work with Block 3 against ISIS, right? And this is what pissed off Saudi Arabia.
ISIS is, if you want to put it in a block, is in Block 2 with Saudi Arabia.
Exactly, right.
And Israel.
Yeah, but this what pissed off Saudi Arabia because Obama was starting to cooperate with Block 3, right? But now when Trump came back,
the main thing. Now oil is not the main thing anymore to the West.
But now Trump is coming back and realigning itself with Block 2. So Block 2, which is Israel, Saudi Arabia, States. Yeah.
The 10 billion weapons deal is a realignment of America and Saudi Arabia, and even Saudi Arabia's jihad, support for jihad and terrorism,
right?
To make just sure that the economy will be 100% safe. Like, only caring about the economy, not caring about... Obama cared more about the Iranian deal than anything else. Iran getting nuclear weapons is a bigger threat than we losing oil. People on the right side of America don't think this way. That's an extremely short version.
The problem with Saudi Arabia is that even if they start losing oil, you don't need much money to cause shit. I mean, look at ISIS, right? Like, how big was ISIS? It wasn't that much.
No, Armin, but when they cause shit, they will be called out, and the entire world community can stop them if they don't have oil.
Okay, right.
No, they can't have... Listen. There's such a thing as an extremely rich state that the West doesn't depend on. That's not Saudi Arabia.
Right.
The thing that makes Saudi Arabia powerful and no one can call it on its shit, that the West totally depends. I don't think you even understand that petro blackmail works. Or like, petro blackmail can destroy other countries.
Yeah, I mean, like, Saudi Arabia was named the head of the Human Rights Council in the United Nations.
They can do whatever the fuck they want.
I mean, when I read that, I thought that was an Onion article.
Yeah, it sounds like an Onion. Yeah, anything that involves Saudi Arabia sounds like an Onion. Like, Saudi Arabia is the most feminist government ever.
The United Nations puts Saudi Arabia the second. Okay, to be fair, first worst country in the world when it comes to violation is North Korea. So that goes to North Korea. Saudi Arabia is the second worst country when it comes to human rights violations, and United Nations puts them the head of the Human Rights Council in the United States. What a fucking joke that is. And
if this is not proof that oil works, I don't know what is. And Armin, there is a lot of economists who write about this shit, and they calculate if Saudi Arabia does actually petro blackmail and stop what will exactly happen in steps 1 to 3 in our countries. The UK will last for 3 weeks, and America will last for 6 months, and then they're fucking done. It's actually like, you keep saying, how can this British politician or how can this American politician say this about Saudi Arabia and not calling them out? Well, actually, it's the right thing to do for his people. I don't understand your need to say the.
Wait, what do you mean US break? You mean US will break down UK? You mean they will stop their support for Saudi Arabia? That's what you mean?
No, break down as a country, as people would starve to death.
No, in United States.
No. Dude, okay, you don't understand how influential Saudi oil as an energy to the West,
No, but United States has its own oil base.
And that's new, by the way. That's new. They're starting actually all the thing that
but they know exactly
doing that against global warming is good to get off Saudi Arabia. That's a paradox.
All right, but okay, I want to go back to the comparison between. The economists in the United. By the way, the economists in the United States know exactly how much oil is left, and I think this is something that the shift.
What you want them to do, they can do 12 years from now. Not now, not 10 years ago.
Yeah.
What you wish for the West to do, they will.
They will.
But just wait.
But just wait, okay. But I hope that people that are in prison and are being tortured in Saudi Arabia can also wait for another 12 years.
No. All of this is bullshit. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not.
I know. I'm not saying
the politicians, okay, Justin Trudeau will always But will he ever do actual thing to Saudi Arabia? No fucking way. I don't.
Justin Trudeau promised as a candidate to fight for Raif Badawi, which is a prisoner. Raif Badawi is a prisoner in Saudi Arabia just for his blog, and our Prime Minister here in Canada promised that when he gets elected, he's going to help him, but he's not doing anything after he got elected.
I wanna explain politicians like that without being appearing like I'm an atheist republic defending Saudi Arabia. These politicians seen the numbers and know what will happen if Saudi Arabia does this shit. And I don't think, because the last time Saudi Arabia did petro blackmail was in the 70s after the Yom Kippur War, so no one even remembers. It actually can be done, and lines of people for gasoline will be in America just 2-3 days after. It's real, but it's just never been used in the last 40 years, so people keep forgetting it exists.
Right. So I want to go back to the comparison a little bit more between Iran and Saudi Arabia. I also want to say that another reason why Iran has been a lot more successful with the influence on their Shia Islam compared to the Wahhabism of Saudi Arabia is because the followers of the brand of Khomeinism are more loyal to Khomeini and Khamenei than the Wahhabis to the royal family. The Wahhabis, they're not loyal to the royal family at all. Not
only loyal, they hate the royal family.
They will kill them. Right.
It's Islamic to kill Al Saud. Right. There are infidels. They did haram.
Just to be clear, the Saudis are spending money on an ideology that their followers are okay with killing them, which is bizarre.
Of course, it's okay. That's why I'm telling you, internal Middle East shit is so complicated.
Right.
Here's the thing, and this will sound even more insane.
Right.
Yeah. Funds ISIS or jihadis, they're hiding that not only from the West to call them out or for supporting terrorism. They're hiding that from the jihadis because the jihadis will actually be against Al Saud.
Yeah, the jihadis will be against because there's
no member of ISIS knowing that these weapons come from Al Saud family, because we're in a fight with Al Saud family, the infidels that put their hands with the infidel West.
Right. So Wahhabis. Okay, here's the thing: Sauds will never be able to get any loyalty because, first of all, they're in bed with Israel and they're in bed with United
States. That's a no-go to any Islamic extremist or any Wahhabist or any ISIS
member. The two greatest devils on earth for the Wahhabis.
The Jews and the fucking America.
Yeah, and Saudi Arabia is in bed with them, so there's no way that the Wahhabis will ever be loyal to them. But however, compare that to Khomeinism. I mean, the Hezbollah people. They are, they will die for Khamenei, right? They will. They see Khamenei and Khomeini as God's representative on earth, right?
Hezbollah die for Khomeini, ISIS dies for Islam, not for
exactly. So this is why I think Khomeini's spread of ideology, because they are spreading an ideology that they have full control over. They have
full control over, and they can change it whenever. That's a major point for Iran. Comparing the alternative, like the opposite ideology, is Sunni Islam. That's more powerful because it has more people. Armin. Like, don't even start to compare Khomeinism to Islam itself.
No, so okay. So one score.
The other side is not Al Saudism.
This other side is
Islam. Is so
well, well, Shias beg to differ.
I'm explaining as from each side of the argument.
Right, exactly. So one side has numbers on its side, the other side has full control on its side, right?
Yes.
So the Sunni side has the fact that they're 85.
And totally different tactics. The tactics of Iran and Shia-supported militia and terrorist groups actually have a pragmatic objective, not the Khilafah all over the world, like the Sunni extremists. The Sunni extremists literally kill infidels and let Islam rule, Sunni Islam rule over the world. Not like a specific, okay, so in Lebanon, we need Hezbollah to do this, and in Yemen, we need the Houthis to do this, in Bahrain, we need the Shia minority to do this. The Iran's influence plays more into the geopolitics war, Cold War, to be specific, side, than the terrorists in the Sunni side. And what makes the terrorists on the Sunni side more dangerous, in my opinion, by the way.
Okay, yeah, but
like the Sunnis. Let's. I know this is getting long, but the Sunnis on the extremist side of ISIS would kill me, want to kill Egyptian free thinkers, want to kill Egyptian army, but Iran has nothing to do with Egypt because there is no Shia minority in Egypt. Done. Egypt is out of the question.
Right, but Iran has been more strategic than Saudi Arabia, I think. Like, they have been very clever, even though they don't have the numbers on their side. They have been gaining power for the past 10 years. So they have been very.
In the Cold War, Iran is winning.
Okay, so.
But that Cold War is tearing the Middle East apart.
Right. I mean, but that's what they want, because they want to.
No. Yeah, that's what they want. I'm just saying my Omar Assam's opinion on the fucking Cold War between Saudi Arabia and Iran. I hate it because it's the proxy wars causes an insane amount of lives that has nothing to do with fucking Saudi Arabia nor Iran.
So Iran is kind of like the Peter, what's his name?
Peter Baelish.
Yeah, Peter Baelish of the Middle East. Okay, yeah, chaos is a ladder. Basically,
chaos and Shia minorities are a ladder.
So yeah, and
we need Bran to look into like.
So we need Sansa Stark to come and.
Not Sansa, Arya. Like a slow learner, Sansa.
Right. Okay, so I was gonna ask a question. I'm gonna read one of the questions from the live chat because
and I have a lot of shit to say too, but I'm gonna like.
What? Okay, so some of the questions are about immigrants, but can you guys keep the questions on Saudi Arabia because that's the topic of this discussion? So, all right. You know, one thing I also want to point out that a lot of people are saying, well, okay, is this politics or religion? And the example that I want to give people to is like the motivations might not be religion, the tool is religion, right? So you might be wanting to rob a bank and you're using a gun to do it. So the money in the bank might be the goal, and the geopolitics and the staying in power. The gun that you're holding, that's the religion that you're using, right? That's the example.
I can answer that question only if the person asking it can be more specific. What specific event do you want to ask about? Is it religion or politics?
I'm talking about the motivation of the people in power, right? the thing is that a lot of people try to wash religion out of this, and always try to say like, oh, it's always about money, it's always about power, it's always about greed. Religion.
No fucking way. Oh my
What?
God.
Go on.
No fucking way. Are you like these people? Like they want to get Islam out of it so hard. They're like doing extreme acrobatics to like, oh no. Listen, because of the Al Saud family wants this and this, so therefore it's not Islam. Like seriously, have been there Wahhabism or ISIS or Hezbollah or anything without religion? There is nothing. There would be only like pure nationalism with people wanting benefits from each side, and it would work. Like, of course, Islam is a major problem. The only thing I wanted that question to be specific, because some things in the Middle East happen that's has nothing to do with religion, because the Middle East is complicated. When it comes to terrorism, 100% religion. It's non-existent without Islam. It just can't. There is no such thing as I can't even say I can't even believe I'm explaining this. I was gonna say there is no such thing as an Islamic state without Islam. That should be fucking obvious.
Right. So, yesterday we were recording a podcast episode at Secular Jihadists from the Middle East with Ensaf, which is
love you guys.
What? Thank you.
Love you guys.
Yeah, thank you.
What is my episode, by the way?
Well, your answer?
No. Where is my episode, by the way?
Oh, it's coming. That's the next one that is being posted. Don't worry. Yeah. We have a great episode with you. That one is going to be posted as well at Secular Jihadists. It was full of information. It's going to get posted, right?
I want to say much more.
But so here's so one thing I was pointing out in that episode was that given, a lot of people keep trying to get politicians to shame Saudi Arabia, but given that this will not work because of the oil politics and all of that, and because of the economy involved, and given that Mohammed bin Salman, which is a new crown prince, he has this new plan to take the economy away from the oil. You say it's not going to work, but I think that a better activism to do is for us to go towards companies instead of the governments, because the government seems to not do anything to fight Saudi Arabia, and even when they do, Saudi Arabia doesn't give that much of a care. But I think what we should do to target Saudi Arabia more effectively is to go to private companies, because private companies are smaller than governments, so the shaming will be of them would be more visible, and private companies care about their PR a little bit more than governments. So I think if we could identify corporations that work with Saudi companies and shame them and make this a PR nightmare for them, for the fact that they're working with Saudi, and tell them that you shouldn't be working with a country that has such poor human rights record.
According to the corporation, like some corporation will have like the profit way more important. Money, it's a corporation. Money is way more important than actual PR.
I understand. Well, look at Pepsi, for example. They're pulling their ads off of YouTube because they saw people posting Nazi videos on YouTube. That's a big decision, right?
But there is no Nazi company giving Pepsi billions of dollars.
I'm saying that. I mean,
I know. I'm agreeing with you. I'm just clarifying.
I agree. I mean, we're dealing with
point number one.
We're dealing with
a giant, yes.
We're dealing with
a giant corporation and money all over the world.
I'm just saying.
Saudi Arabia doesn't have Pepsi-like stuff. It has oil-like stuff. The oil-like stuff, guys, are not like the Pepsi PR progressive cool liberal part.
What I'm saying is that we should keep it on oil, so that hopefully when the oil economy one day dies, they die as well. I just want to I'm just saying maybe the most effective activism is for us to go to smaller giants, still giants, but smaller giants, and shame them into dealing with Saudi Arabia, so that we make sure that Saudi Arabia has nothing but oil. Like Saudi Arabia right now is pushing for the tourism industry to work. We have to tell people that if you go to Saudi Arabia, you're giving money for people to get lashed in public. You're getting people to be beheaded in public. We have every single tourism Facebook account or Twitter account or YouTube, they have to be trolled with people keep on posting about their human rights violation. I think if we could even go smaller companies. Here's the thing, not Pepsi. Pepsi might be too big. Let's find a smaller company that deals with Saudi Arabia and get them to stop dealing with Saudi Arabia, and then use that to go to a bigger company. Like, look, this company was big and was moral enough to stop dealing with Saudi Arabia. Are you less moral than this company? Because at the end of the day, Saudi Arabia is one country compared to the PR. I mean, Pepsi cares about their PR. Coca-Cola cares about their PR.
Because their customers are people, not major boats, other corporations that needs oil. Like, corporations depend on each other. They don't have like customers within like normal people.
Right.
If there's no normal people going to the supermarket getting oil from Exxon like that person doesn't exist. There is no moral shaming. Listen, Armin, I agree with you morally 100% when I say things like this will not work, because that doesn't mean I disagree with your moral position. Please.
I know. Yeah, agree. Of course, I agree with. I know. Yeah. I love you. Okay, right?
I love you too.
and I just try to. I just want to do nothing. I just don't want to do nothing and say nothing will work, because guess what? Yeah. Sometimes things.
I have things to do. If you want me to, if you want ideas from me from important things.
Give me ideas. Give me ideas.
Support Doctors Without Borders to get into Yemen. But Doctors Without Borders can get into Yemen. That's the main point. People are dying in Yemen from malnutrition. Doctors Without Borders actually care about people. This is not like some liberal American side feminist blah blah blah. Doctors Without Borders actually care about human lives and did incredible major stuff in Africa against Ebola.
Another charity that I support personally, I love Doctors Without Borders, and whoever is supporting them, definitely keep doing that or do more. Or if you're not doing it, do it. But another charity that I want to mention is Save the Children. And a good website to check if your charity is actually effective or not is Charity Navigator, to make sure that the money that transparent with what they do with the money. So Save the Children is a pretty good charity, and also the reason why I like Save the Children is because I'm pretty sure that if you're focusing on children, I'm not supporting any adults that might be doing something shady in a right. So it's focusing on children, and I like that.
As if Save the Children is not shady enough.
No. Save the Children is my favorite charity because these are kids, right? Like, and they, and they are very effective with what they do.
Doctors Without Borders is my favorite charity because they literally saved thousands of people during the Ebola plague in Africa.
Right. Yeah. No. I would never say anything against Doctors Without Borders. It's one of the best charities out there.
And you didn't hear what I said.
Go on.
The idea is not just spending money to Doctors Without Borders. The idea is pushing any policy that would get Doctors Without Borders besides the Saudi Arabia blockade in Yemen. That's the main point. Like, people in Yemen, there is a collective punishment that Saudi Arabia does to Yemeni cities because some of them may have supported Houthis. So, all of you are gonna die of hunger. That's one.
Let me clarify before you go on. Just clarify what's happening in Yemen and why this is a proxy war between Iran and Saudi Arabia. One of the many proxy wars between Iran and Saudi Arabia. And why people are
proxy war is Syria, not Yemen. But in Yemen, Houthis are on the Iranian side. And if we're gonna talk really, honestly, truthfully about the other side, it's Saudi Arabia, Al-Qaeda, United States.
Right.
Al-Qaeda is killing Yemenis in Yemen for being Shia, and Saudi Arabia and the United States support. Did you fucking hear what I said? The United States is supporting Al-Qaeda, which is now called Ansar al-Sharia, by the way. They're not Al-Qaeda anymore.
Yeah, they rebranded themselves so they could get support.
Ansar al-Sharia in Yemen, but they're Al-Qaeda.
But before you go there, just to be clear, so many children right now in Yemen are dying, and so many people are suffering, and so many people are being killed. And this
report 2 months ago were 2,500 died from malnutrition in 1 month. 2,000 people
so many
died from hunger in 1 month this year.
So many moms.
2,000 people.
so many moms have so much little foods that they don't even have milk for can't even produce milk for their children. And this is a war that not that many people are covering and talking about. And this is going to be
on purpose.
This is the Rwanda of our time. This is something that we're going to look back on, and it's a shameful thing that not many people are talking about it. And
no one is allowed even to go there, dude. The famous guy, I forgot his name, from PBS Frontline. Do you know the guy? Do you know PBS Frontline?
Yeah.
There's this same guy, I forgot his name. Like, he's doing a documentary on Yemen, and he was even blocked from some places and couldn't get information out.
But people in Yemen are suffering. People in Yemen are paying the price for the war between Saudi Arabia and Iran, right? And if you guys want to, just a few days ago, I did a YouTube video about Yemen specifically, and I linked to people that want to donate. If you want to know,
that guy was awesome, by the way.
Oh, thank you. If you guys want to know the details about that one, go watch the video on that. But this is people think that this is just powerful people fighting, but when you see actually see people suffering from it, you know that this is. And another thing, a lot of people say that what I do doesn't matter, but let me tell you, Raif, for example, he was supposed to be lashed thousands of times, but Saudi Arabia stopped lashing Raif because of so much international pressure. So even Raif, even Saudi Arabia,
I know,
gives in to international pressure.
Please let me clarify this point.
Okay.
Of course, pressure, shaming about Saudi Arabia on certain stuff will work. Why? Because they have priorities. Even Al Saud have priorities. So the only thing they will never budge on, and no, they don't give a fuck about shaming, they don't give a fuck about people calling them or anything, is their Cold War with Iran. That's a no-go. Like, you can pressure Saudi Arabia to release some woman who was raped, and that will be okay. We have a shitstorm of PR from the West, and we have a shitstorm of people who might rise up here. So let's just get her out. No headache. They think of human rights thing as headache, but they think of the Iran war as their main point, important point. No budging, no nothing. It's like, okay, shame us. We're killing Yemenis. Like, when you say Saudi Arabia can feel shame, I'm telling you it can in certain things, and other things, no, they don't give a fuck.
Right. So the point is that don't say I'm not going to do anything because what I do doesn't matter, because it does. You know, you could be part of a lot of people that are speaking about this, but you know, I mean, do something. You know, your voice matters.
The thing I am doing is, there's certain Egyptian aid that was going to Yemen, and Saudi Arabia, of course, refused us helping Yemenis, as usual. And another aid was going to Yemen through ports and by Doctors Without Borders. Both were stopped. These are people ready, with money already, not even like, they're ready right there. There's 10 kilometers away from people dying, and they can't reach them because of Saudi fucking Arabia.
Yeah, and actually the UN had a report about the Yemen situation, and Saudi Arabia forced UN to take it back. And I don't know how they did that, but they managed to get the
oil. How many times I'm gonna say it?
I know, but I mean, what does UN make from? UN makes, I don't know. I don't know the details about it.
UN is made by countries, the United Nations, that need oil.
Right.
It's not that a mystery.
Okay, well, that's fucked up. So another thing is that, you know, you mentioned about how Saudis care about Iran. Actually, Iran also hates Saudi Arabia, and actually they love hating Saudi Arabia, because for a very long time, Iran's hate was focused on United States and Israel, and it is to a certain extent now too, right? I mean, the main force in Iran, which is the international force in Iran, is called Quds, right? The army and the Quds is named after the Jerusalem. So basically, that the name of the army in Iran is based on the goal of where they will eventually be.
Yeah. All of us play the shifting the hate, terrorism, violence towards another.
I know, but now
Israel does it, we do it, and everyone does it.
And enemies are useful, right? Enemies are useful to unite the people with with your agenda, right? But what Iran has noticing is that Saudi Arabia as an enemy is a greater uniter in Iran than is the West. Because when it comes to Palestine, people in Iran are always like, why are we focusing on other countries where we have shit to do here, right? And when it comes to the US, many Iranians love the US culture, so they don't want to be against the United States, right? They want to be friends with
honest, the one-step argument of some Iranians about the threat of Saudi Arabia on Iran is valid. There is a threat on Iran from Saudi Arabia.
But
Saudi Arabia have nukes on call from Pakistan. Like, this is not a small thing that they can just forget about. Saudi Arabia and Iran are actual threats to each other.
Right. So in Iran, you have the religious people, and then you have the liberal people, right? And the liberal people are very nationalistic, right? So
I know.
And a lot of them are very racist, anti-Arab, right? And the religious people are very anti-Sunni. So this anti-Sunni and anti-Arab brings the religious and the liberal people together.
And there is no Arab Sunnis,
and they make the hate towards Saudi Arabia brings them into, because they usually hate each other, right? But this hate for Saudi Arabia unites them all together and makes them.
Once the hate for the West would unite them, now the hate for Saudi Arabia.
Right. But this is not a new thing in Iran. Hatred for Arabs was there for a long. Is the hatred for Iranians a new thing in Saudi Arabia, or was that always there too?
The hatred for Shia is not a new thing in Saudi Arabia. The hatred specifically towards Iran is a new, and they brand all Shia as Iranian supported, anyways, even if they're not Iranian supported.
Right.
The minority in the East, by the way, when they started cracking down on them, saying they're Iranian terrorists, had nothing to do with Iran.
Right, yeah. They're mostly...
In the beginning. Now they do, by the way.
Yeah.
There is actual support from Iran in Bahrain. Real. There is actual... Even the Houthis started without being an Iranian institute. Like, here is the thing. Saudi Arabia does this self-fulfilling prophecy thing. Like, you Shias, you supported from Iran. Then Iran comes and supports them.
Right. Yeah, even if it's not Iranian backed, it becomes
it will be Iranian backed.
It's a self-fulfilling, because there's Shia, Saudi Arabia, like this is Iranian backed, and eventually it will become an Iranian backed.
Iran loves prosecuted Shias. Is their main biggest thing in the Middle East. There is prosecuted Shias. We're there. Let's start a fucking proxy war and people will die. This is what Iran wants. That's why Egypt is out of the question. There is no Shiites here. Done.
Right.
We're totally out of it. If I'm gonna explain something, sorry.
Yeah. No. Go ahead. I write this down so I don't forget.
Egypt hates the idea of this war and don't want to get involved in any way. But at the same time, we have to bow down and kiss Saudi Arabia's ass for our economy. That's the only reason. But when Saudi Arabia was saying, Egypt, you depend on us in economy, come fight with us in Yemen and kill Houthis, the Egyptian army refused. And that was a major thing. And Saudi Arabia kicked us back with economy that fucked us over. And then we still didn't fight for them or the proxy war with Iran, but we did give them 2 islands, which are Egyptian. But we just gave them pieces of our, pieces of our land, which we fought for 30 years ago. We gave them because we know that, I'm gonna tell you, like, I lived through this. Like, you're saying, let me tell this, please. You keep on saying, like, this threat, this mafia threat from Saudi Arabia going all over the Middle East. Hey, you have a nice economy there. It would be a shame if something would happen to it. This threat is real because I lived through it last year. When we started saying no to Saudi Arabia, everything tripled in price. A lot of people died because there is no Hep C injections, like the hepatitis C is a major issue, capital bay in Egypt. They fucking stopped medical aid to people dying in Egypt. Like, Saudi Arabia have no fucking shame when it comes to what they want.
Right.
So, but here's my problem. Here, I have reached the point where, okay, Saudi Arabia, we will kiss your ass for the sake of poor Egyptians.
Yeah.
What are we supposed to do exactly?
Right.
Like, the richest. I mean, it's actually true. That's so. I'm like the guy who's who's saying the thing that will piss people off even more. Like, I'm the guy who would say there is a rational reason to kiss Saudi Arabia's ass. That's I hate that fact. I fucking hate it, but I have to say it.
Right. To your point, right now in Yemen, there's like AIDS right in the shore, ready to get shipped apparently, but Saudi Arabia is not letting it get to the people, right? Like, it's basically
not letting. Number one, they bombed the port itself. Number two,
right. So the aid is right there.
In Saudi Arabia media, they will say they didn't bomb the port and the Houthis bombed it. Oh. Saudi Arabia bombed that port 100%.
So there's medicine and food right next to people that are thousands of people that are dying from starvation, and Saudi Arabia is basically right between the food and medicine and people right as we speak, and the world is not saying anything about it. Just
not saying anything. And Saudi Arabia is playing a horrible game of, if we starve these people, they will bow down to us and forget about the Houthis' cause. Even like people who were Shia and supported Houthis. You better become loyal to Saudi Arabia and Sunnis.
But this is not working. This is not what I mean. This is. I think KSA has money, but they're really dumb because this is working for Iran. Iran loves it when Saudi Arabia is like, Iran wants to sell their narrative as they're their savior, and Saudi Arabia is the big bad boogeyman. And these kind of shit works. I mean, Iran is going to get more people in Yemen are going to be like, hey, Iran, please come save us. You know, in Bahrain and other places.
But Iran also more people in Yemen might give up on Iran coming and saving them and bow down to Saudi Arabia and be done with the whole thing. They want to eat, they want to survive.
Nope. Yeah, but I mean, but right now, Iran has the moment. I mean, like, without Iran, ISIS wouldn't have been defeated in Iraq and Syria, right?
Yeah, of course.
So a lot of Shias are like, yeah, Iran came and saved us. So
without Bashar, ISIS would have been defeated in Syria. Without Russia, ISIS would have been defeated in Syria. You can say this about a lot of people.
Right. This is the
I don't want to give Iran moral superiority, please. Please.
No, okay.
All right. Their intentions are not moral, okay? Arman, you're Iranian. No.
I don't. No. I will never. No. These are all. This is not Iran. Iran has no good intentions. This is just because saying empower and shit. They're just. This is. No, I'm not telling Iran that they're doing this because they're doing it out of the kindness, and they just want to. Whatever narrative sells increases their power. That they're just going to sell that, right? Because guess what? When the Shias took their villages back, they started killing Sunnis. They started demolishing houses of Sunni
Iraqi Shia militias that fought ISIS back, killed innocent civilians after they took the part of ISIS. Anyone who even said yes to ISIS out of fear was dead. Of course, ISIS, when it comes to a town, people will say, okay, ISIS,
I love ISIS. They will say,
to stay alive. These guys are dead now. They're innocent.
They're innocent people that Iranian forces are killing. But guess what? Iran wants Sunnis to retaliate because Iran wants to be needed. So Iran fights ISIS, but Iran likes ISIS because without without ISIS, Iran wouldn't be needed so much, right? Exactly. So here I told you something that doesn't give Iran the moral high ground.
I know Iran don't have the moral high ground from ages ago.
By the way, Saudi Arabia wants to be the leader of the Sunni world, right? They want every Sunni country to bow down to them, and that's why they hate Qatar so much, right? Because almost every other Sunni country is bowing down to them, like Egypt, like UAE.
Sorry, I'm so sorry. We just spent money.
Right, but Qatar is a Sunni country that is like the black sheep in
their own money. It's not because they
the black sheep in the Sunni world, which is playing footsies with Iran, which is the Shia, which is like
Qatar is totally different than anyone else. Qatar didn't do Saudi Arabia's mistake by focusing just on oil. They focused on everything in their economy. Everything, like media and computer and social media, and they spread it all. Therefore, when oil runs out, they're the only one remaining in the Middle East.
So Qatar, that's why
when I say 10 years, when I say 10 years from now, Saudi Arabia is done, Qatar is the leader of the Middle East. And Qatar supports terrorism, by the way. Just to be clear on moral
because they support Hamas, right?
not just Hamas, Jabhat al-Nusra.
Right.
Okay, if we're gonna do Syria, we need another podcast because Syria is so fucking complicated.
By the way, I just want to also...
Qatar 100% supports terrorism. But as I said,
but so does Saudi Arabia.
I wanna get no. There's a difference between Qatar and Saudi Arabia. Remember when I said some Saudis actually believe in Wahhabism and supports ISIS because they believe in this shit? There is no such thing as Qataris or Qatar believing in this shit. Qatar supports.
They just want money and influence.
For influence and money, 100%. Like, if you're gonna tell me, is there players in the Middle East who have not extremely religious, but play this for religion? The number one are Qataris.
Right.
Hands down. Even Saudi.
Really? Number one is Qatar?
When I said non-religious, they don't specific. The number one is Saudi Arabia, of course.
Right. So I also want to go back to something they said where, you
There's
said
no way Iran would understand Qatar.
Iran, where we could do one whole episode about Qatar. But when you said that Iran loves Shias that are prosecuted, actually this also sells very well with the Shia mythology, right? Because Shia mythology is based on the victimhood, right? Based on Hussein being the martyr, based on Hussein, which was the Hussein, which is one of the probably the most revered figure in Shia Islam. So much so that his death place is actually more holy to many Shias than Kaaba itself, which is Karbala, right? But his story of death, which was he was the Shia leader, which was killed by the Sunni leader, which was Yazid. That story and that narrative basically plays well with every single time a Sunni government is attacking a Shia minority, right?
And Sunni governments are so stupid and they fall into that trap. Sunni governments fall into that trap. They persecute Shias and fall exactly what Iran wants.
Right, and this is why Saddam never wanted people in Karbala to be able to do the Ashura and do the all ceremony because he know how important that this mythology was for a Shia uprising, right, against the Sunni government, right? And this is exactly what this story is. What Iran always relies on to be able to sell this was basically this mythology and this symbolism was used in the fight against Shah during the Iranian Revolution, and it was so much utilized in the fight against Saddam, right? Because it was basically the Shia Iran going and capturing Karbala back from the Sunni government. Like it writes itself, right? Like the songs that when soldiers greeted each other, like "I'll see you in Karbala," "I see you in Karbala." That's what the narrative was. By the way, I blame all of this on Aisha because if she had not lost her necklace in the desert that night,
one necklace got lost,
and Shia Sunni got divided because Aisha lost her necklace. This is all her fault. So Yemen and all Saudi Arabia and Iran and everything is because Aisha decided to go take a dump and lost her necklace in the meantime. And this
don't get me started on these events. Anyway, remember at the beginning of the podcast when you said what happened 1,400 years ago? I didn't talk about these events because these events didn't actually happen.
All right, I have to go now.
Sure.
So this has been 1 hour, but let's do this. Let's pick another topic. You have a lot of interesting information. So
the most complicated one is Syria, and of course Qatar's intentions are extremely complicated.
Let's do Syria next time.
It revolves around Qatar, the Muslim Brotherhood, and the regressive left in the West.
Right. Let's do Syria next time. But this was great. Thank you so much.
You love you, dude, and we love Atheist Republic.
And
by the way, can you
tell people where they can find you if they want to come and ask?
They can find me. I am Omar Isam LHC on Twitter, on Facebook, on everything. They can I can link it. But Omar Isam LHC.
All right, and I'll link in when I release the YouTube version of this. I will link to your Twitter account in the description of this video, so people could come and find you directly.
Thank you so much, Armin, and fuck Saudi Arabia.
Thank you. Fuck Saudi Arabia. All right, bye.
Bye, Armin.